Trojan Sports Now.
Hello and welcome to Trojan Sports Now. I'm Jonathan Sellers.
And I'm Danielle Percival. Stick around as we bring you the latest news and scores from Troy Sports. This year, the Trojan football team had given up an average of 32 points per game entering their second conference game against North Texas. The offense was averaging 29 points per game, so the defense knew it was their responsibility to step up, and that's exactly what they did. The Trojans won in Denton by a final of 14-7. Brendan Trawick was the highlight on defense, recording 15 tackles and securing Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Week. The Trojans tied the game late in the first half with a 15-yard touchdown catch from Robinson to Robinson. That's Corey to Jaquan. And then again in the third quarter, the game winner was from Robinson to Chip Reeves for 76 yards, broke a tackle. See ya, Mean Green. For quarterback Corey Robinson, he said one of his favorite parts of the Saturday's game was being able to run the victory formation for the final play.
That's the best play in football, victory. Just taking a knee there at the end, man, that's my favorite play.
The two games that we have won, I've never been in a more exciting locker room than those two games. So there's something being laid out there that makes these guys appreciate a win.
And it wasn't just current Trojans enjoying the victory. Former Trojan and current Dallas Cowboy DeMarcus Ware dressed a few of his teammates who were Mean Green players in Trojan gear after the Troy victory on Saturday. Looking good, boys. Well, with that victory...
I just like the picture. It's a good picture of D. Ware with
It is.
And one of the running backs last year kind of tore us up a little bit, so it was good to get a little revenge and make him wear some Troy stuff.
Nice little former throwback jersey.
Yeah.
Nicely done. But with the victory, that means the Trojans are 1-1 in conference play. That's a big win for Troy.
Well, it really is, and especially it being on the road for Troy to get a road win and be 2-0 on the road. It's kind of unusual for that to happen and be 0-2 at home. They have played two tough teams at home, but for two road wins, and they've got a bunch more games at home this year where they can turn around that home record, but definitely a huge victory on the road. That's
right, and I mean, as you mentioned, that's kind of the opposite of what it normally is under Blakeney. The Trojans have been successful at home, maybe not so much on the road, but definitely the home schedule this year is much tougher than many years previously.
Well, that's exactly right. We played Mississippi State and Louisiana Lafayette, but we've also got FIU, Arkansas State, Navy coming up at home. So still a good home schedule, but we've also got a big road game this weekend. We'll talk about that later. But first, let's get to some volleyball. The Troy volleyball team's first test of the weekend was probably their toughest of the year, but it ended up being an historic one for the Trojans. The Friday night opener was against the 24th-ranked Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. The Trojans were swept in straight sets. The Hilltoppers improved to 15-3 with their win. But it was the Saturday night match that could be a momentum changer. Troy defeated Middle Tennessee in straight sets. The win is only the second in 17 meetings against the Blue Raiders for Troy, and the first ever in Sun Belt play for Troy over the Blue Raiders. The Trojans had a season-high attack percentage with .356 against the Blue Raiders, who played in the Sun Belt title game last season. Offensively, Brianna Coletti had 19 kills as Troy had 45 kills as a team with just 13 errors. Alexandra Alexander posted 40 assists, and Coach Sonny Kirkpatrick on the big win over Middle Tennessee.
Anytime you can beat a team like Middle, it's good for us. They've been to the national tournament the last 6 years in a row. So it's kind of, I'm not going to say it's a milestone win, but it is a really good win for us, especially being that it's a conference match too.
Well, Troy is now 10-7 on the season.
And the soccer team played host to the Sunshine State teams of the Sun Belt this weekend as they took on Florida Atlantic on Friday and Florida International on Sunday at the Trojan Soccer Complex. But for the Trojans, the sun wasn't shining on them. The Trojans dropped their conference opener to FAU by a score of 2-0. The Owls scored in the 65th and 76th minutes of the game. But then on Sunday, the Trojans fell behind 1-0 in the 48th minute, but Jasmine Farnbauer netted her first career goal in the 70th minute to tie the game and send it to overtime. That, however, would not be enough as the Golden Panthers scored the golden goal in just 1 minute and 21 seconds into overtime. Here's head coach Chris Bentley on the weekend.
Well, Friday we had FAU here, controlled a lot of the run of the play. I think we did some creative things in the attack, had some great possession at times. I think we showed a lot of organization. Honestly, up to that point, I thought we played the best so far that we played. And then, funny enough, going into Sunday, I think we played our best game so far after that. Played very well Sunday against FIU, took them to overtime. They're a preseason conference champion, essentially chosen for that. And I think we played right with them.
After finding themselves in 4th place after the second round of the ULM Fred Marks Invitational, the Trojan women's golf team was unable to retain that momentum as they finished in 6th place for the tournament. Sophia Bjorkman led the way for the Trojans, shooting a 75 in the last round to finish the tournament at 6 over par.
Well, it didn't take long for the women's rodeo team to find success this season. The women's team totaled 353 points at the Missouri Valley College Rodeo to claim the team title in its first rodeo of the 2012 fall season. Top performers individually for the women were Kelsey Kinnemer, who placed 3rd overall in breakaway roping, and Cassandra Smith, who placed 3rd in goat tying. Zach Mabry paired with Tennessee Martin's Ben Walker to record the only points for the Troy men's team. The two finished in 3rd place overall in team roping. The teams will have a week off before returning to action October 4th through 6th to compete at the Murray State University Rodeo in Murray, Kentucky.
The Trojan women's tennis team traveled to New Orleans this weekend to take part in the Big Easy Classic tournament. But as the Trojan tennis team could find out, this tournament would be far from easy. The Trojans entered the tournament with one less player than the other teams and then lost Carolyn Grimmel on Saturday to an injury. The depleted team didn't let that stop them as they finished 2nd in the tournament to Southern Illinois by 1 point. The Trojans fell 8-5 in the final match that handed Southern Illinois the tournament win. The women's team will be back in action October 12th at Clemson.
The Trojan men's basketball team may still be a little over a month away from seeing action, but the 2012-2013 schedule has been released, highlighted by the home opener. The Trojans will begin the season with their first home game in the new Trojan Arena November 9th against Mississippi State. This will be the first time Troy has played host to an SEC school. The Trojans do have 15 home games on the schedule, which is the most since the 07-08 season. And the conference schedule then begins on November 29th in Little Rock, with the Trojans taking on the other Trojans, UALR. Also coming up in the show, we'll have an in-depth look at the women's basketball program.
Well, last week, there were Trojan athletes competing on the track. However, they were not part of the track and field team. Taylor Burke gives us a look at how one team gets ready for the start of fall practice.
The Trojan baseball team has started its preparation for the 2013 season, kicking things off with an annual Troy baseball tradition.
Basically, our players are asked to complete a 6-minute mile run prior to our fall practice starting. And actually, you know, it's a thing that we don't train for. We just think a Division I baseball player should be able to come out and complete that to be ready or show that he's ready to start fall practice.
While running the mile in 6 minutes or under is the minimum time for the players, for the second year the coaching staff has allowed their players to earn some extra time on the clock with donations to the Wounded Warrior Project in order to help military personnel in need.
And we've allowed our guys in the last 2 years to donate money to increase their time, but that donation goes to that great foundation and organization. So it's been a good combination for us with a former catcher in the Troy program, now a Navy SEAL, and supporting that organization.
We got to talk to Jeff Nichols. The Navy SEAL, he actually talked to us about it. So the guys that were here last year really know how much it means to guys like him and his friends who died in battle, and how much it means to their families. And you know, it's very special to us and this team to be able to help anybody out the way we can.
It's a great cause for one, and two, I mean, we wouldn't be able to do what we do on the field, go to school and all that stuff had the troops not be overseas doing what they do. So it's always good when you could give back to the troops and their families.
The baseball team helped raise $920 for the Wounded Warrior Project, and each player finished the mile run on their first try. Taylor Burke, Trojan Sports Now.
The Trojans will have 30 fall practice sessions and have one fall exhibition on the slate. The Trojans will face the Ontario Blue Jays on October 21st.
Trojan Sports Now.